everybody, Joy here. It's late in the afternoon and it's raining outside. So I decided we'll just get started on this blouse. This is an insert. This is the next morning and I'm on my first cuppa coconut mocha by Donut Shop with whipped cream in it. Let me take a sip real fast. Oh, so good. Now, you're getting ready to watch me draw out my Surefit Designs top pattern. I'm not wearing that pattern today. One of you asked me if you can make a pullover. This is a Surefit Designs pullover that I'm wearing. I made several of these, but you make these with the shirt kit. There is another kit called the shirt kit, and it has a lot of ease in it. It does not have a bust dart, but you can see I added a bust dart. So, if you usually need an FBA, you're still going to need to put a bust dart, even in the shirt kit. But it has more ease, and there's a lot more instructions and stuff. So yes, you can do a pullover. You probably could still do a pullover with the dress kit too, but you would have to add more ease. You'd have to add bigger seam lines. You'd have to add a bigger neck. So I would start with the right pattern to start with, okay? So I want to tell you that. Now, you're getting ready to watch me draw out my pattern for my button-up shirt, blouse, that I make with the Surefit Designs Dress Kit. I made a big boo-boo in it because there's something I do and it's major wrong according to Glenda and how she teaches this. You're supposed to draw your blueprint out and then you're supposed to write blueprint on it, and you're never ever supposed to use it as your pattern. It stays your blueprint and then you make your pattern on top of your blueprint, okay? So I spent a lot of time showing you to add extra paper and to let your paper stick out over the edge, because we were going to draw on a facing that was already on the blouse. You don't make the facing separate because then you have to do a seam down the front and sew it on. Glenda has this way she teaches where you just draw the facing right on it. So, but don't do that. Ignore that part when I get to it. Just remember, and I think I put some words in there telling you that, you're going to add the facing when we go back and we make our pattern with the neckline that we want and the sleeve that we want and the length that we want and all of that. And we're not going to use our blueprint. So we're not going to put a facing on the blueprint, okay? That's thing number one I want you to pay attention to. Thing number two is, I'm sorry about the mirror. There's a mirror right here. I did not realize that when I had the lights on me, like they are right now, and I hope that it's not happening again right now, the lights were showing in the mirror, and when that happens, it draws all the attention to the mirror and all the focus to the mirror, and then I'm over there and, you know, you kind of have to look away from the light to see me. So I can't redo it. I spent hours and hours and hours yesterday. I can't redo it because of the lights in the mirror. I can only apologize for the lights in the mirror, okay? Okay, the next thing is, one of you said that you followed me when I did the pants. I'm wearing the pants today, my purple pants that go with my pullover top, Surefit Designs pants. I did a sew along for the Surefit Design pants. I'll put a link to it. There's more than one video. There's several videos. I had it in a playlist. But then I just discovered recently, something came up and said, do you want to keep your playlist private? And I'm like, what? Why would my playlist be private? How could anybody have watched it? So I put no, and I took it out of the playlist, I think. Anyway, I'll put a link to one of the videos here or here. And if you want to look at the pants and see me make the pants and the pants sew along, start with that video, and then you can see the other videos right next to it in my video list, okay? You know, if you click on anybody's channel, down under the video, it will say the name of their channel. Like that lady that gets rid of all her extra stuff is called the Minimal Mom. And so you look down and you can see Minimal Mom, and it'll usually say how many subscribers they have. And if you click on Minimal Mom, another screen will come up and it will say you can choose videos. And when you choose videos there, It will choose all her videos. Same with me. Click on Joy Bernhardt and all my videos will show up. And then you can even search. There's a search bar there. And you could put Surefit Designs pants or pants so long or something like that. But anyway, I'll put a link like I said. I never know what side it's going to go on. If you're interested, one of you said, I followed your pants, I cut them out, I worked with them, I gave up, I could not make them turn out right. So, I'm really sorry about that. But what you need to do is get those pants back out, put them back on when you're fresh, and try again. Send me a picture at my email. You know my email now. If you don't, leave a comment below and say I want your email. Or leave a comment below and say, hey, I want to send you a picture of my pants. Whatever. Send me a picture. I'll look at them. If I can't figure out what's wrong with them, you can send it to Glenda. She'll tell you what's wrong with them. Don't give up. It's wonderful. Pants are easy to make. Did you know that? They are easy to make. They go together really fast. Once you have a pattern that works, I didn't put pockets in these, but it's real easy to put the pockets in, and they just make up so quick. I think I made, goodness, 5 or 6 pair for that video, for that so long. Okay, that's about the pants. Told you about the facing. Ignore what I'm telling you about adding extra paper for the facing. Just add enough paper to cover the master pattern underneath and leave room for your seam allowances, and you'll see how I did that. But we'll do the facing later. I'm going to show you the back. I'll probably start a whole new video today, and I'm going to show you how to do the back. Then I will actually keep those 2 pieces, front and back, as my blueprint, like you're supposed to. And we'll go back and I'll show you how to change the neckline and how to choose your arms, and we'll talk about the sleeves and pockets and all that kind of stuff, all right? I actually don't have any pockets on any of my tops, but I'm sure Glenda probably has some in the book. I don't know. All right? Okay, I'm going to start the video that I made late yesterday right here, and I'll be back in the next video showing you how to draw the back. Let's do the front. End of insert. We're using the Surefit Designs Dress Kit. And because many of you have asked me many times to please show you how I draw out my dress kit blouse, you use the dress kit for blouses, and you've asked me many times to show you how I do it. Okay, now all of you know surely that at Surefit Designs, Glenda Sparling, the owner, has many videos. And if you've ordered the dress kit, you probably got a DVD with it. So you have lots and lots of places you can go over there at Surefit Designs to get helpful information, okay? So this is just how I do it because you asked me to show you how I do it, okay? Almost all of it's exactly like Glenda does it. I'm not even sure this part's any different at all. You actually better do this Glenda's way, this part, or your blouse isn't going to come out right, okay? So, you've got to have your paper. I'm going to use Glenda's vellum today because her vellum is the most heavy-duty version of what I have. I like to use the Dr. Table paper, or the pattern is, for the trying on when I palmer plush it. Now, when I palmer plush this, I will be looking to see shoulder slope, round back, sway back. I will not have to look at a full bust adjustment at all, okay? But nobody can make a pattern for the curve of everybody's back. So you just have to deal with that yourself. Nobody can make one pattern that matches everybody's shoulder slope. Some ladies have really straight, some ladies have really straight, broad shoulders, clear out here, and they stand up real straight. Some ladies are like me, and they go downhill. And some ladies have one shoulder longer than the other. Some ladies have forward shoulders. There's just all different shoulders, and no pattern company can draw one pattern that's going to fit everybody's shoulder slope. So, shoulder slope, sway back, round back, everything else is going to be taken care of by the pattern because we all made up our measurement chart. put your name on your chart, put your date on your chart, and put your chart down here where you can look at it. I have so many charts, it's crazy. I've probably got 20 of them. I have some pinned to my door, some pinned to my refrigerator, some pinned to my file cabinet. Oh yeah. So I've tried to gather them all up and get rid of them and use only my recent one. It's kind of depressing to look back at the other ones and say, ooh, this number's bigger. Ooh, this number's bigger. Ooh, this number's bigger. Yikes, all the numbers are bigger. Oh well. Okay. Open your book. Now, some of you may have a different edition than I have, but I think the pages are pretty good to be the same numbers in most of the books. I think maybe she adds pages in the back or something when she comes up with a new edition. She's sending me the newest edition, which is number 6. This is number 5. So for me, I'm opening up at page 7 where it says bodice front. Bodice front. Down here at page 6 it says how to draw your personalized dress pattern using the designing stylus. All of you should have gotten the designing stylus. If for some reason you did not get the designing stylus, you'll have to use a French curve. Okay? But if you didn't get this, I just can't imagine why you wouldn't have, because you just really do need it. Okay? Now her patterns are going to have 5/8 inch seam allowances. Not everybody's patterns do, but hers do. 5/8 inch seam allowance. Okay? So open up your page to where it says bodice front number 1. We're going to start there. We're going to have our measurements. We're going to move this out of our way. We're going to have some masking tape. Hopefully masking tape that is very non-permanent. You don't want this stuff to stick forever. And I'm just going to move these back here behind me. Now I know a lot of you don't have the room that I have. But I tell you, even if I was in a little bedroom or a little kitchen or a little dining room, I would make a table out of an ironing board, or I would get 2 chairs and put the cardboard thing between them. I would do something to make myself some space to put my stuff, okay? Drag in a little round table, drag in a coffee table. You need workspace if you're going to do this, okay? Remember, you have to have lots of pencils. So, to start with, we're going to get out our paper for, now several years ago, I bought new papers because I've used mine so much, they're about worn out. So several years ago, I bought new papers from Glenda. They're so nice and they're so pretty, I haven't used them yet. I'm like, oh, I can use these other ones one more time, one more time, one more time. So I'm going to put my new pretty ones back in the envelope again. And we are going to get out the one that says dress front, bodice, and skirt. Dress front, bodice, and skirt. That's where we're going to start. This is the collars. I've never done collars. I don't like collars. Collars bug me. They get up in my ears and up in my hair. I just don't like collars. I think you have to have like a longer neck than I have if you want collars. Alright, so now my table's all empty except for my masking tape and my dress front, bodice, and skirt. Okay? We're going to put this down on our table. Put it here close to you where you can like hover over the dots. You want to be sure that you can see these dots. I'm going to kind of do mine backwards to me. Usually I would do mine like this. I don't know if it makes a difference to you or not, if I do it forwards or backwards. You have to realize I have used this 100 times or more. Now I haven't had to draw my blueprint 100 times, but you saw, if you saw my video from, what was the date? 8/26. If you saw my video from 8/26, it's called Parade of My Surefit Designs Blouses. You saw a whole bunch of blouses I've made using this. So I'll draw out my blueprint and then I do the bad no-no. And I use my blueprint, and you're not supposed to use your blueprint. You're supposed to trace your blueprint. Okay? So I have taped down my Surefit Designs bodice front master pattern. It is taped down. So now we are going to get our paper. Now, we're not going to make a skirt, but we're going to need the top of the skirt to make the bottom of our blouse. So, when you unroll your paper to draw your top, unroll enough that when we flip it to the back, you'll have enough left under your waist that we can add the bottom of this blouse. If you cut this off at the waist, you're just going to have to add paper later. Now, you know what? This really is backwards to me. I'm going to have to turn it around, you guys. I'm sorry. Why do I have to turn it around? Because I want the center front. I want the center front of the blouse to be the closest to my belly. All right, because that's what I'm lining everything up with. I like to do this super special trick that I learned from Glenda, where you draw the facing directly onto the front of your blouse. So you don't have to draw a separate facing, the part that flips over here for your buttons and your buttonholes. It goes up to here and down the front. You don't have to sew it on because you're going to draw it on, and all you're going to have to do is turn it to the inside. It is super, super, super. So you have to leave enough paper for that. So in order to do that, we're going to move this in here a little bit away from my tummy. Give me enough room for a facing, I hope. You may still end up having to add on paper, guys. So my tip is, if your biggest measurement is 42, which mine is, look out here to where the 42s are. Play like you're adding 5/8 to that, and then you can pull this paper towards you. So you're going to have enough room for your 42, and a 5/8 inch seam allowance. And then I will have plenty of room to draw a facing on this blouse. Now this really takes a little bit of thought. Even as much as I have done this, you see I've taped this down twice. I'm fixing to tape it down a third time. I'm fixing to tape it down a third time because I have the shoulder facing you, because I want the center front toward me. So now I've got the shoulder up here facing you, and that means the bottom of my blouse is here now. So I've got to leave room here on the tracing vellum for the bottom of my blouse. Okay? So think about that as you're getting set up. Now, you're not going to be showing anybody what you're doing, so it's probably not going to matter. But you're still going to like it better if center front is facing you. Okay? So let's unroll some tracing vellum. Now I like my hem of my blouse, slap your ruler down, 6 inches down. So I need 6 inches plus a hem. So I'm going to make sure, just to be safe, I've got 10 inches below that waistline. So I'm putting 10 inches below the waistline. I'm pulling this over here to me. So I will have room, plenty of room for a facing. All right, you see how I'm lined up now? You might not see how I'm lined up now. Let me put some more tape down. More tape. Get you a cutter. I'm going to cut this off even with the top of this Surefit Designs paper. Okay? So I cut that off there. I'm going to take my tape and put a little piece of tape down there. Then I have these wonderful weights. You know I love pattern weights. Sometime way back I showed you guys these weights. These are weights to do your exercises with, okay? You're supposed to do your exercises, you know, like this. But these are so nice. They have these little handles on them, and they're, I don't know, 2 or 3 pounds. Probably 2 pounds, maybe 3. And let me drop it. See, pretty heavy. They're wonderful weights. So, to keep your paper steady, so it doesn't flip up on the corners and things like that, get you some weights. You guys already know I love to use these washers. All right? So I'm all set up to draw the top of my blouse. I've probably got more paper than what I'm going to need. I certainly hope I do, because I want to. Let me get the camera off and I'll scan the table for you, okay? My table is 40 inches by 72 inches. My table is, but yours doesn't have to be, because as you can see, I have a lot of table left here. See how much table I have left over? I have lots of table left over. So, here's my tracing vellum way out here. Here's the center front of the Surefit Designs master pattern, bodice front master pattern. My paper comes all the way to the top here, and then it comes down 10 inches below down here. And then I've got my weights holding it down nice and secure. So, you ready to draw? You want to start drawing? Let's get some pencils. Now I can't see what you can see anymore. I'm just going to hope and pray the camera's picking this up. Get your ruler. This is a blue ruler. I told you what kind of red pencil I use. Prismacolor COL-Erase 20045 Carmine Red. The Ticonderoga. The Ticonderoga pencils are very good also. Okay. But you said to use pencil, Joy. We are. But for this straight of grain arrow, make it a color. Make it a color. Make sure it can't get erased, and make sure it cannot move. Make your straight of grain arrow a color. And make it permanent. It is so, so important, because if this paper gets moved, if like a tornado comes through the window and blows this paper off of here, I will be able to line it back up exactly where it goes. After all of my marks are on here, you can't line it up by your marks, because we're going to move it up and down, and the marks are going to move. The marks I put on this paper are going to change from the marks behind the paper, and you'll not be able to line it up anymore. This is the only way you'll be able to line up your paper, if it is to get off of there. And so I draw the little arrowheads. And there they are. So there's my straight of grain line. That's the first thing I always do, and it's what Glenda does too, but it doesn't say that right here yet. Mark the neck point and draw the center front line to the neck point. Have your Surefit Design stylus, your waist darts template, your adjusted bust yardstick, a yardstick, and tape measure. But you don't need the yardstick, you just need this ruler. Okay, so here's the neck. So we are coming here to the 42 dot. It goes up to 62, and it goes down to 28. So if your bust is smaller than 28 or bigger than 62, well, this probably isn't going to work for you. But I'll bet there's nobody bigger or smaller than that. Okay, so we're going to mark the 42. Now I marked mine in red just so you can see it. You'll mark yours with pencil. All right, I'm going to mark my center front line with pencil. How far down do you go? Just go down to the bottom of the waist on this. That's probably not your waist, but just draw down there anyway. Number 2 says bust number. Mark neck, shoulder, arms, eye, and upper leg of dart. Grading points with your bust circumference. So we are going to come up here, over here, down here, and down here, and down here. So we're going to come from this dot right here, that's center front, and we're going to go all the way around the top and down here to the bust. And we're going to use our bust number. Mine is 42, and I'm going to go ahead and make mine in red because I'm the teacher. 42, 42. Now, stop the horse. Halt the carriage. Right here. Important, important, important. I don't think Glenda said anything about it there. She says something about it somewhere else, but I don't think she says anything about it here. From this dot to this dot is your shoulder measurement. Down here at number 9, you have a shoulder length. Mine is 5 inches. 5 inches. When I measure from here to here on the shoulder length on this pattern paper, her shoulder is 5 1/4. I don't want my shoulder to be 5 1/4. So I am going to put my shoulder at 5 where it belongs. So I'm just going to play like I was going to draw that line in there, but I'm going to move it back to the 5. Okay? So right there is my 5-inch line. Right here. That's the dot on the pattern. This is my dot. Make this from here to here your shoulder length, which is number 9 on your measurement chart. Now, let's come on down here. Now, the reason I have these marks in here is because I'm very narrow across the front of my chest. And this is a good thing for you to check out. It's a very good thing for you to check out on your body. I actually used the 38 dot here or the 40 dot here. That's why I had that purple line there. And I know that's going to confuse a lot of you and be hard for you. But the friends that I have and the people I've talked to, their most confusing issue, the thing they have the most trouble with is this armhole right here. Okay? So, get your body out. Get your tape out. Let me roll the camera up so you can see me. Get your body out. Get your measuring tape out. And measure you. Measure you from the center front over to your armpit. Okay? Over here to your armpit, I measure 7 1/2 inches. Now up here on your shoulder, that's a whole different measurement. But from center front over here to your shoulder, that's a different measurement. So check your measurements from center front over to where you're drawing on this pattern. Okay? And that will really help you get your armhole right. So let's see what I am. I am over to my armhole, which is right there. I'm 7 1/2. So I'm going to see when I put this on center front and move it over, I come out by what I just measured on me and I compare it to the paper pattern. I'm a 42 bust, but I go out to the 40 dot. The 40 dot. I used to go to the 38 dot. That's why I've got 2 different lines there. So I'm going to use the 40 dot for my armhole. I'm going to use the 40 dot. I've got 5 inches here. I'm also going to measure from the center front out to that shoulder point. Let's do that. Go to the center front, measure out to that shoulder point. That's also 7 1/2. So those numbers are both the same for me. When I made it 5 inches instead of 5 1/4, that fixed that. So I am going to make mine 40 inches. 40 inches right here, that dot. All right, let me move you back down. I'm marking the 40, not the 42. Now, when we get back down underneath the arm, this is where your bust area is. This is where you're the widest. So you need to go all the way out to your full bust measurement underneath the arm. All right? So I'm going to go all the way out to 42. Oh, look at that. I used to be at the 40 and the 41. Oh, I hope I don't get any bigger. Okay. My mom always got smaller and smaller from this age on, so maybe I will too. All right, so up here, I made this 5 inches instead of 5 1/4. Here I chose the 40 dot instead of the 42. Over here at the widest dart out, I'm back at the 42. I hope that makes sense. And down here at full bust measurement, I'm going to be 42. Now let me point something out to you. Right away, can we focus our attention right here? Right here, I marked the 40 dot, then I went out here to the full bust at 42. Notice here that there's 2 sets of dots. There's a set of dots right here, and there's a set of dots up there. The lower dot is if you're going to put a sleeve in. And if you'll just read what it says, let me see. For sleeveless garment, use upper dot. So if I was going to make this sleeveless, I would use this dot up here. Okay? But I'm not making it sleeveless. Don't you love the eraser on this red pencil? It's wonderful. All right? So that's how that's going to be. So let's get our stylus and draw some curves in here. You have to mark from this dot to this dot your neck curve. Now the neck curve on the master pattern stops here and stops here. Yours is going to be from here to here. Here on the master pattern, it's from here to here. So you're like, well, what am I going to do? It doesn't reach the whole way. What you're going to do is you're going to line this little gizmo up here to that curve. I'm lining this up to her curve. Then I'm just going to move it until it reaches my curve. And there's where it reaches both of my dots. Both of my dots. And I'm still going to use red just for you. Just like that. Okay? So this is her curve. That's my curve. Be very careful drawing this curve or it's going to fit really funny around your neck. Now, she has some arrows. Do you see here on the designer stylus there's some arrows? If you will read to see, look to see if there's any writing by the dot area. Here by this dot that I brought into 40, it says front arm's eye point 1. So look over here to your designing stylus, and right here at this very first arrow it says front arm's eye point 1 shirt pattern. We're not making a shirt, so that can't be right. Back arm's eye point 1 dress pattern. Look at this one. Match to front arm's eye point 2 dress pattern. Make sure you're looking at what you're working with, okay? This arrow says pants. This arrow says dress. This arrow says shirt. This arrow says shirt and dress, okay? Pay attention to the arrows. So, this is front arm's eye point 2. I found a front arm's eye point 2 arrow right here. Right here is the front arm's eye point 2 arrow. So I am going to line up the front arm's eye point 2 arrow with my dot. Okay, can you see that? Arrow, dot, arrow, dot. So then what you do is you line that up with that and then you roll this back to your next arrow. You roll it back. Now how do I know that? Let's see if Glenda tells us. She doesn't tell you that until number 5 when she's doing the armhole curve, okay? And she says match front arm's eye point 2 arrowhead on the designing stylus to the front arm's eye point 2 dot. Tilt the stylus to match up to the adjusted shoulder point. Draw the curve. Now see, if I tilt this to line up to the shoulder, look what's going to happen. It's going to miss my 40 dot. I don't want it to miss my 40 dot. So I'm going to have to do some adjustment. And I am going to roll this into the 40 dot. Now these are things you're just going to have to figure out from experimentation and doing them. If I didn't put that in there, it would have drawn that all the way out to the 42. Now I'm going to turn this up to the shoulder dot. And now I'm going to match my shoulder dot to the 40. So here's my curve. If I had done it the way she said to, my curve would be way out here at the 42. And I don't want it out there at the 42. All right? So hopefully that is understandable. Make your curve. Let me see what would happen if I just put it there, lined it up at the top. Yeah, see, it'd have all that extra in there. And I don't want that extra in there because my body doesn't like all that extra armhole. Okay? So then we're going to come down here to the 42 dot there. We're going to come down there to the 42 dot there. And we're going to do the dart. Now, I don't know if she does the dart yet. She says she does the neckline. We did the neckline. Then she does the shoulder length. Using your personalized shoulder length measurement, measure between the neck and shoulder points and lengthen or shorten. So she tells you in number 4, your shoulder length. She tells you in number 5 about the curve. Then she says, now pay attention to this, ladies. For sizes 48 to 62, use a different template. For sizes 48 to 62, use a different template. Okay? Let me see if I have that. I'm not sure if I have that or not. I think I do. Yes. See here? Here's another template in your envelope. If you're size 48 to 62. Is that what it said? Yeah. All right? And then you would use this and line it up in here. All right? Remember that. Remember that. Use the different template if you need to. All right. Now, where is the bust dart? What does she tell you to do next? Bust and waist level. Okay. Before we put the bust dart in, go to number 6. Bust and waist level. This is very important. Very important. Measure from the middle of the shoulder line straight down. Mark your shoulder to apex level. This is very important. Take your ruler. Slap it down. Go down from the middle of the shoulder. I don't do the middle of the shoulder. I do mine more like maybe a third of the way over. I find the middle too far. I just do. I do mine more like line it up with the apex position. And here's her apex dot right here. Now that doesn't mean that's where your apex is. That's where her apex is on this paper. All right? So we are going to mark down. Mark your shoulder to apex and mark your shoulder to waist. Okay. So my shoulder to apex was 11.5. 11.5. My shoulder to waist is 18 inches. So my shoulder to waist is all the way, the whole length of this ruler. See, because I measure down over my apex. When you measure yourself, you measure from your shoulder down over your apex to your waist. And so you need to be in your bust area, in my opinion, when you're coming down. And my bust is 4¼ inches in. So it's 4¼ in, and it's 11.5 down. And so that's my bust right there. All right? Her apex dot is here. Mine is here. Mine is quite different. Hers is very young. Mine is very old. Old lady, I mean. Okay, 11.5 down, 4¼ over from center front. Draw across for your personal apex. Very important. And the sad thing about this nice red pencil is it smears. Darn, didn't know that. Oh well, we'll just suffer it. It's probably because I'm on this tracing vellum and it's kind of shiny. Alright, so we're going to go down 18 inches right through that bust cross. Right through that bust cross, I'm going to draw it 18 inches, and I am amazingly close. I'm amazingly close to the waist on this pattern. I'm actually 1/4 inch below it. Alright, so here's my waist, right down here at 18 inches. Here's my bust at 11.5 down and 4¼ across. And there's my cross. Alright, so you guys should be this far. This far. I should have drawn my center front line in red. I hate that this red is so smeary because you guys have to see what I'm doing. Okay, so that was my center front line. Alright, now let's see what you do next. Now pay attention to this. Because do we move it up after we draw the bust dart, or do we move it up before we draw the bust dart? Let's see what she says. Let's turn the page to page 8. Bust width. We already did the bust width. Bust dart. All right. We're going to do the bust dart before we move the waist up. So we're going to get our bust dart paper. And look, I have a new one. I bought a new bust dart one. So what you're going to do is you are going to figure out what size bra cup you are. And my paper said I'm a size C. Now, you should have noticed at the bottom of page 5, she gave you a chart telling you how to figure out what size bust you are. Now, my difference was 6 inches. And there's 5 to 6 inches is a B cup, but 6 to 7 inches is a C cup. So I'm using the 6 to 7 because I know I am a C cup. All right? I would say use the bigger one if yours comes out like that too. So I'm going to use the C bra cup. I'm going to line up the upper dart where it says bra cup size C. I'm going to put that on my full bust measurement right here. It says full bust measurement, front arms, eye point 2. We're not using that. That's under your shoulder. This is underneath your arm. Your bust dart doesn't go underneath your arm, it comes down here. So line C up, or D up, or E up, or whatever you are, and direct this line that goes through the center of this bust dart, direct it right through your apex. Direct it right through your apex. Then, draw the rest of the darts. Draw the rest of the dots on the dart. Pick a dart that's at least 1 inch away from your apex and draw a dot there. All right? So I've got 3 dots here and I've got 1 dot here. Now I'm going to tell you something super important. This area right here is not the shape it needs to be by the shape of these 3 darts. You will draw these 3 lines, you'll put 5/8 inch on it, but there's something else you have to do to get this shape correct to properly sew the side seam on this blouse. I screwed up my first 2 or 3 blouses because I did this wrong. And I just used this for my dart edge. It won't work, ladies. I'll show you how to fix that later, but just remember, there's something else we have to do. Okay, so now, where's my stylus? My designing stylus. You can use a ruler, you can use your stylus. So I'm going to draw my bust dart. I mean, that's pretty simple. Easy to see. Easy to figure out. Okay? That's my bust dart. It's right exactly where it needs to be. See? Easy, easy. All right, perfecting the dart cutting line. She does give you some information here on page 8 about perfecting the dart cutting line, so y'all can look at that later. Waist level. Using your marked waist level, shift the vellum up or down. All right? So my waist level's here, the pattern's waist level is there. We're going to move me up. We're going to move me up. Now, watch this straight of grain arrow. It's going to move now. It's going to move, and it's not going to be where it was before. So if I want to know where I started out drawing this pattern 5 years from now, I'm going to line that back up where it was before, and then I will know where I marked all my dots, okay, before I moved it up for my waist. I hope that makes sense, you guys. Okay, I think I'm going to take a little break and get a glass of water. Then I'll set the camera back up, and I'll be right back in a half a second for you. All right, that was an oatmeal cookie and a drink of water break. All right, let's finish drawing this blouse front. She calls it a bodice front. She being Glenda Sparling, who owns Surefit Designs. All right, so now I have moved this up and lined the waist up to where my waist is. Now you want to do that before you draw the rest of your side seam, okay? Because you need your side seam to come down to where your waist is, and you're not going to know where your waist is until you move it up to the line where the waist is. All right, I'm going to roll you back down so you can see what I'm drawing. You have to move all your weights. Move your paper up so your waist is on the waist of the paper. Put your weights back down and get your designing stylus. If you don't have one, get your ruler. Alrighty, now you're going to have to come out here and find your waist. My ever expanding waist. Where do you measure your waist at? A lot of people think you have to measure at your belly button. Now, if you're making pants, you do. But when you're making a blouse, my waist hasn't been at my belly button for I don't know how many years now. So there's no sense measuring my waist at my belly, because this blouse, I want it to dent in where I dent in. So it looks like I have some kind of a shape on my side seam. So I measure the narrowest part of my torso. And the narrowest part of me is 2.5 inches above my belly button. So that's why I'm at 18 inches here, okay? Now, if you want your waist to be where your belly button is, that's just fine. But I just fall apart and start crying if I use that measurement and I have to draw my waist clear out here on this paper. So I'm making my waist right here. And I'm drawing it up to the bottom of that bust dart, and then you draw your bust dart out and you draw your bust dart in. And remember, this is not your final bust dart shape. And try to draw it so it makes sense. This is why you use pencil, because there's lots of erasing. At least when you use this red pencil, you can erase it. There's the dot. Now see, the dots aren't underneath here anymore because I've moved, so all I have is my dots that I drew. All right, so there's the side of me. This is my bust, this is my waist, and I'm going to draw this line. Now Glenda draws a curve here. If you'll look at her paper, she says waist curve and seam allowances. I don't draw the waist curve because this is going to be joined to more material for the bottom of this blouse, and there's no curve in here. It's just connected to the skirt. There's no curve. So I don't really know the reason for that. We'll have to ask Glenda if anybody wants to know. So I draw that straight right there, and I take this line right here and I draw it, because you're going to need this line right here to help you line up the other flip side, the top of the skirt. You need this to help line up the top of the skirt. So be sure you draw this T right here, okay? So, one more thing I have to do before I turn this over to do the skirt, and that is draw the waist dart. Now, I have a special way I do the waist dart, just from trial and error. Now look at your waist dart template. We have 4 darts on here. You have bodice front, bodice back, skirt back. We want, number 1, the bodice front dart. So we've got to find our apex. Find your apex, not the apex that's underneath. Find your apex. Line this arrow up directly on your apex, okay? So the cross is right here at the top of this paper. The arrow is a little bit down from it. It's not all the way up to it, okay? Now, the bottom of this lines up with your waist. And as you can see, they aren't exactly lining up too good, are they? So I'm going to draw in the top of this like that. Okay? So again, the arrow, that arrow, you're going to line it right up there with your little cross, and you're going to draw in the top part of that dart. Just that much of it. Now, you're going to take the bottom and you're going to line it up with the waist. You can see that there's a straight line right here and right here. Line this line and this line up with this line. That's another reason I like it to be straight. Okay? So you're going to line that up under your bust again. Keep those points in line. Move this up to where those lines are straight. It's really shocking how far off I am, but I am. All right? Now, what you can do, if you want to, and this is what I was telling you about that really helps me. I'm even going to get a different color to do it with. I like to extend my apex line all the way down through the skirt and through this bodice. These Frixion pens run out of ink so fast. I think it's writing. Hello? Please come out, ink. And it won't come out. Can you see that? Draw your apex line all the way down through the bottom. That is really going to help you do the bottom of the dart. I'm sorry you can't see that very good. These pens are really horrible about showing up. Here's another one that's a marker. Get these marker Frixion pens. They're so much nicer. You'll be able to see it much better. Now do this with pencil on yours. I'm going to do it with purple so you can see how I lined that up. All right? So now, when I'm fiddling with this to move it up and down, and I need to know where the center is, I can see the center because I've got that purple line there now. And I can see the center up there. So now I can draw the bottom of this dart. The bottom of the dart is right there. Okay, and then the top of the dart is right there. Remember, I drew it. Now you can line up the bottom of this template and the top of this template so much better. Okay, I've got my top point of this dart and I've got the bottom part of this dart. Now this dart's this long. My dart's only like this long. Slap your ruler down and let's draw a line that looks better now that I've sharpened my pencil. All right, that's much better. Really need to have a sharp pencil. Okay, so now we have the whole top drawn on. We do not have our seam allowances yet, but we don't need to put them yet. We need to go ahead and draw the bottom of the skirt first, okay? Because you can draw your seam allowances on when this is taken away from Glenda's paper underneath. You don't need her paper underneath to draw the seam allowances. Okay? So, I'm about to lose my apex right there. There's my apex right there. I'm gonna make mine a asterisk. That's my apex. Looks like a snowflake fell on it. Okay. Let's move everything. Let's get ready to draw the bottom of our blouse. Isn't this fun? Are you having fun yet? Are you having fun yet? I really enjoy this part. See what I have so far? Doesn't that look nice? I'm not sure what you guys can see. Okay. We're going to flip over. We're going to take our dress front, bodice, and skirt, and we're going to flip it over. Flip it over. Here we are. But you didn't draw your facing yet. I know I didn't. But I will. I will. I'll get all of this drawn first. You've got to have the skirt on it before you can draw your facing, okay? We're not doing a dress, we're doing a top. But from your waist down of your blouse, that is considered a skirt. Alrighty. So, remember this little T right here? That little red T? Do you see this T right here? See it? Right there? I'm lining that up. That will help you right out. That will help you right out to get this all lined up. Now I need to move that over because I left more room than that for the facing. So we're going to move that over. And we're going to line up that cross mark in the waist dots. My waist is still in the same place. That line is straight, and this T matches perfectly right there. How amazing is that? Totally amazing. So, I'm going to go ahead and put a little piece of tape just in case things like to just move. Alright, so what are we going to do on the skirt? On the skirt, we're going to be working with our hip. Our hip. You have to work with your hip. So, you've got the book, you've got your waist curve. Now see here on page 9, she's showing you how to drop down to the skirt. So I am going to do what I did before, and I'm going to draw the top of this straight grain. Next, I'm going to draw the bottom of the waist dart. Now, do you see my purple line going down there? This is where my apex is. So we are going by my purple apex line. And we're going to get the dart chart, and we're going to do the skirt front dart now. We're going to do exactly as we did before. You find your dart area. The darts are all lined up in a row here. They're all in the same place. So we're going to line it up with that. And we're going to mark. You might not need this dart at all. You may want this dart half as wide as it is. You may want to curve the dart. You may want to curve it in. You may want to curve it out. You may need to do some changes to the dart. But generally, this is where your waist dart will be. They have worked out very good for my body, where Glenda has them. Sometimes I do make them narrower. In the back, I usually need the full though. I usually need the full thing in the back, but in the front, my tummy can use a little extra room through the day. All right, let's continue down on center front. How far down did I want mine from the waist? I want mine 6 inches down. So I'm gonna mark 6 inches right here. Now here, you can determine if you want the bottom of your skirt curved or straight or open at the seam or closed at the seam or whatever. But I'm just going to make mine simple today. And we're just going to draw a straight line 6 inches down from my waist. Okay. That's how we're going to do it. Just like that. 6 inches, 6 inches. Now you've got to do your hip curve. And your hip curve dots are here and here. So, this curve down here is a really low place. I don't know why it is so low down, but that's your full hip dot right here. My full hip, I wrote down how far down my full hip is. How far was that? My high hip is 5 inches down. And my high hip is the fattest part of me. My high hip includes my big belly. And so that's the biggest part of my hip area. When you get down here, I'm actually smaller. So this is the biggest part of me. So, she has the hip dart over here. Now she has a way that she does this, but I don't do it like she does. She moves things up and down and stuff, but I don't. I just measure over to the 42 dot. And I can see it's at 11 and a quarter inches. So I come over here and I make my own dot at 11 and a quarter inches, 5 inches down, where the biggest part of me is. All right? So, don't need that dot. That's the 42 dot. It's written on the paper pattern underneath. It's written up here, and I just moved it down to here because that's where I'm the biggest. So I am going to take this, and I am going to draw my hip curve with it. I am going to draw my hip curve with this. And there we go. There you go. There's my hip curve. You can see it's not that far out from my waist. That's kind of sad, isn't it? I know. That's why I'm on a diet. 11 and a quarter. 11 and a quarter. Check your numbers. Take your time. Don't be in a hurry. Okay, so now that is the side of my blouse. I like my blouse 6 inches down. If I measure the one I have on, let me see how far down it is from my waist. We're making a quick change. See how easy it is to change? The blouse I have on is longer than most of my blouses, and so because I have it slit, you guys can't see, but see I have a slit here on the side, and I really like that. So I am going to make this one longer than most of my other blouses. Let's just be wild and crazy and do something exciting. And we're going to lengthen this to 7.5. I was going to do 6. I changed my mind right in the middle of drawing this. Yeah. All right, that's 7.5 inches down. Before the hem. Before the hem. Remember, before the hem. See, a lot of this is just common sense. Where do you want this and where do you want that? Yeah. Okay. So that's now the side of my side seam. I made this kind of straight right here. You don't want this to be some big funky triangle area here at the bottom of your skirt, so straighten that out. You can see Glenda down here curved hers in just a little bit to flop the hem up, and I will do that too. But insofar as the way she drew this line down here, it came down pretty straight. See, curves at the hip and then it comes down pretty straight. Okay, so that's it. All I have to do is add the hem and add the seam allowances, and we'll be done. So, how much hem do we want to put on our blouse? Well, let's see. Does Glenda say how much hem to put? Hem level. Measure from master pattern waist level guideline straight down to desired hem level. Mark desired hem level. Well, my desired hem level is 1 1/4 inch. I like 1 1/4 inch hem on the bottom of my blouse. So that's what I'm going to draw. 1 1/4 inch. Now, what you have to do is you have to fold this bottom hemline up on this hemline. You fold it, like I'll just show you. I'm hoping the camera's picking this up really good. Now, you know I'm not a professional teacher and this isn't my company, you guys. You think, you sure are a weird teacher. That's because I'm just showing you what I do. Okay? This is how I do it. Glenda's the teacher. It's her company. She's the one that knows everything. I'm the one that knows nothing. This is just the way I do it. Okay? So remember that. Glenda probably just cringes when she watches me teach this. Like, oh, bless, dear Lord, you should see what she did now. Okay. That's it. There's my hem. Now what am I missing? I'm missing the facing. And I'm missing the seam allowance on the side. So as long as my camera's batteries don't die, let's get a seam allowance on this dude and a facing. Facings are fun. The only thing is, you cannot put the facing on until you know what your neckline is going to be. Okay? You have to know what your neckline is going to be. I can't put a facing on this neckline and then end up with a V-neck like I'm wearing. So I think I'll save, and I'm going to save this extra paper here. And if I actually save this for my muslin, for my, what does she call it? Your blueprint. If I save this for my blueprint like you're supposed to, you won't draw the facing on this. You'll draw your facing on the blouse you draw from this. Does that make sense? When you decide how you want your neckline to be. My pencil's almost gone, so I'm just going to use a regular pencil here. So, I'm going to turn this so I can see it, and hopefully you can see it too. The seam lines are nothing, y'all. You just follow the curves, you line up this designing stylus, and you just draw the 5/8. See, you just draw your 5/8 out there. I'm lining up this line right here. 5/8 is this part right here. You don't draw on this part in here. No, 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 you don't draw on that part. You draw on this part. This is the 5/8 from here to here. Okay? That's kind of important. It's raining outside, y'all. It's dark and rainy and gloomy. And there's a hurricane down on the coast. God bless you people and keep you safe. That's why Jerry and I we were going to take this little sort of a vacation. Now see, if you turn this the other way, Glenda does this the other way so she gets dashes. If you turn it like this, then you can do dash duty. See, dash duty. Now remember, even though what I'm doing right here, I'm putting a seam allowance on that bust dart, that's still not the right shape for that bust dart. Please remember that. And also remember this. You don't want to get too curvy on your seam allowance coming up on this curve right here. You don't want to come up like this. You want to come out and kind of go straight. Glenda told me that. I was getting some really curvy stuff going on there for a while. Now remember, I've changed my shoulder a little bit. This will really help y'all. Y'all. That's real Texan, isn't it? I'm not a Texan. Okay. See how this is curving up like that? See that going over that way? Find a flatter part on your curve and use it like that. Okay? I won't know till I edit it if you can see that really good. Let me mark that in red so you can see how that turned out. It's not like a curly Q right there. See how it's straight and it's not going up in a big curl. Okay, come up here to your shoulder. Put your thingy down so you can do your dash duty. Dash duty's fun because that says, I'm the seam allowance. And your neck. Now this is not going to be my neck. I'm never, ever, 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 ever going to use this for my neck, ever. I would choke. I would hate it. You do not have to have a seam allowance on the center front. Unless you're going to sew a facing to it. But I'm not. Remember, I'm going to draw my facing on. Okay, there we go. There we go. So you want me to see what you do with the bust? And we'll do the back tomorrow. I'm going to quit today. We're just going to do the front. I'm going to go ahead and cut it out so you can see how to do the bust. All those blouses I showed you in my video from August 26th, all those blouses were made exactly. Oops, wait, don't do that yet. Don't cut that yet. Don't cut that yet. That's a boo-boo. Don't cut that bust dart area yet. Don't cut it yet, don't cut it yet. You can cut most of this, but don't cut that. Because it's going to change. I should leave that line there so you could see how much it's going to change. I will. I'll put that line back on there so you can see that it actually does change. And you're a little mixed up, Joy. Oh, yeah. That just goes to show you. You can still do it, even if you mess up a lot. Now, this area here, you don't want to draw your waist in a point there. You don't want that angle. And Glenda will tell you this. You want to take the designing stylus and soften that up. Soften it up with the designing stylus like that. See? Yeah, that's much better. Much better. You don't want to. I mean, you might look like that, but if you cut out your garment like that, your garment's going to wrinkle and crinkle and look funny. All right. This is what we're going to do to the bust dart area. Cut off all this extra paper. Cut off that extra paper, just so it's easier for me to show you. Can you see real good? You're going to fold the bust dart as though you're a sewing machine. You're going to sew it. You're going to fold it on the bottom line of the bust dart. See, right there, we folded the bottom line. And we're going to fold it in half on the halfway line. And you need that extra paper up there. We're going to fold it up. This is fiddly, but it's okay. See there? See there? Now the dart is folded in. Now we are going to cut the seam line. We're going to cut the seam line. Okay? So there is the proper shape that I need. Now you remember I had drawn the 2 5/8 inch lines right there in pencil. Now they're cut off, they're not even there anymore. See, so if I had sewn on those lines, it would have been wrong. When I fold this up and I sew the side seam is perfectly straight now. Maybe if I pin it or I tape it. Let's do some tape. I'm trying to show you this nice straight seam line. And it's now a 3D. See? Can you see now? Can you see me now? How I'm straight? That's how that side seam has to be. I hope that shows up good on the camera and you understand it. Now we can cut the rest of this out. This is going to be my muslin. This is center front. Let's mark center front. Center front. Center front. Center front. Oh yeah. We want to mark center front. Erase that line I didn't use. Now you know this purple line on here, I can remove it with the iron. There. Very good. Now another thing that you have to have is a 90-degree angle right here at center front. So be sure when you get your pattern all drawn, put a 90-degree up there and just make sure that that did turn out 90 degrees. All right. I hate to cut this off. I always use my blueprint to make the blouse with. I'm trying to make myself not do it. All right. So listen, let me just show you real quick. Let me show you real quick why you would leave this extra on here for the facing. If this was my pattern instead of my blueprint, I would simply fold this on center front. I would fold it on center front, all the way up and down, because your facing has to go all the way to the bottom. All the way, all the way, all the way, just like mine does on what I'm wearing. See there? You would fold it over like this, and then you would trace your facing like that, 2.5 inches all the way up and down, and then you would cut your facing off, and then when you're making your blouse, it's already on, it's already attached. It's amazing. So since I'm not putting my facing on this, I'm going to be a good girl and not mess up my blueprint. So I'm just going to cut it out because it's in my way. All right. And now I should write blueprint on here. All right. Now this is another super important part you have to do. So you have to do this. You have to write what it is. All right. So I'm going to write. This is important. Bodice, front, and the date. Then put the date. Bodice front 8/27/2020. Then what I do is I write someplace on the pattern what my measurements were, my bust, my waist, and my hip. I write what my measurements were on this blueprint because mine changed so much and I make so many blueprints, okay? So I do that too. All right, bodice front 8/27/2020, and then you should put on here someplace blueprint. I think she calls it something else. I don't know, maybe she calls it blueprint. Okay? So that's bodice front 8/27/2020 blueprint, which means do not use me for your pattern. All right, my friends, we've drawn the front. We've drawn the bodice front. I hope I made sense for you. If you have any questions, leave a comment below, or you can email me. You can send me pictures at my email. Most of you already know what my email is. Just leave a comment below and let me know if you don't already know what it is, okay? All right, we'll call this part 1 of I don't know how many parts of how I use the Surefit Designs Dress Kit to make all the blouses that you see me wear. And remember, right now, she has a discount code over at her website, surefitdesigns.com. If you'll use the discount code JOYFREE, joy-free, you can order whatever you want from there for no freight. Joy-free. We're using the dress kit right now. All right, I'll be back soon and we'll draw the back.